Hello, welcome back to the lecture series on network layer protocols of the internet model. In this video, we are going to learn about intra-domain routing protocols part 1. So what is the agenda? I will introduce you to intra-domain routing. After that, we are going to learn about two different intra-domain routing protocols. One is distance vector routing and the other one is link state routing. In order to understand intra-domain routing, we have to understand what an autonomous system is all about. We know internet is hierarchical in nature. This means that internet is divided into several areas. These areas are known as domains. These domains consist of several routers and networks. These routers have their own routing table with the help of which they can help in forwarding and delivery of packets between the nodes of the network. Now, when packets are delivered from one router to different networks of the domain, maybe through different routers in the same domain, then it is known as intra-domain routing. For intra-domain routing, we have several protocols. Let us first understand distance vector routing. In distance vector routing, there are several steps. The first step is initialization. Actually, distance vector routing creates the distance of minimum cost between the nodes of the network. So initially, we have to do initialization of the routing tables. Then we have to share the information between the different routers. After that, we have to update that particular information that is being shared by other routers in their own routing tables. Now, this is based on either cost or the next node, and then we have to compare each row and keep the lowest cost. Let us understand this topology. This topology consists of 5 different nodes A, B, C, D, E, and they are connected in this fashion. Let's understand that their cost is as given. That is, if anybody wants to go from A to B, the cost is 5. A to C is cost 2, C to E is cost 4, C to B is cost 4, B to E cost 3, and A to D cost D. Now we have to initially create the routing table. Let's understand the routing table of node A. So what is A's table? It consists of 3 different fields. One is the to field, next one is the cost field, and the third one is the next hop field. So since there are 5 nodes, we have to write it as A, B, C, D, E. Now, cost of going from A to A is 0 and the next node is itself, so it is a dash. Cost of going from A to B is 5, cost of going from A to C is 2, cost of going from A to D is 3, and cost of going from D to A is infinite initially because A is not directly connected to E. Similarly, we can create D's table like this. So here D, since D is connected only to A, we have a cost 3, and for all other nodes except D with itself is 0, and for BCE, the cost is infinity because initially D has no information about E. In this fashion, we can create the routing table of all the different nodes after they share their information and the routing tables of the individual nodes are updated. Let's look at A's table. Now, A's table is all the same for the points from A to D with the exception of E, because now E has updated its table and A knows that in order to go from A to E, the shortest path or the least cost will be to go to C and then to E. So the next hop will be C and the cost will be 4 plus 2 is 6. Similarly, all other tables are updated. Like D's table is updated, C's table, E's table, as well as B's table will be updated. Now, distance vector routing suffers from one major problem that is called instability. Now, let us understand what a two-node instability is all about. Let's say we have two nodes A and B which are directly connected to each other with a cost of 4, and A is connected to node X with a cost of 2. Now, before failure, A's routing table will have this row as X2 and dash. That means X is directly connected to A. And B's routing table will have this information X6 and A, because the next node will be A in order to reach X from B, and the total distance will be 4 plus 2 equal to 6. Now, suppose there is a failure and the link from A to X has been cut. Now, A immediately knows that it cannot reach X, and its distance will be infinite. Now, B does not have this information now. Now, after A receives updated table from B, B will give its updated table to A, and A knows now that in order to reach X, it has to go via B. So it updates its table with 6 plus 4 equal to 10, and the next hop will be B. Now look at this. Now B receives the updates from A. B is fooled because B now thinks that in order to reach X, it has to go via A, and it updates its routing table by increased cost, because 10 plus 4 becomes 14 here. And the next node is A. Finally, after a series of message updates and receiving message between the two nodes, we can see that B and A both will have infinite cost or distance to reach X. So this is known as two-node instability, because the messages will revolve around the two nodes. There are different solutions to this problem. There are solutions of defining infinity, split horizon, and split horizon together with Poisson reverse. Let us understand the three-node instability. Here there are three nodes A, B, C which are connected, and A is directly connected to X. This is the condition before failure. Now suppose there is a link failure between A and X. So A sends this information to B as well as to C. Now it may so happen that the message reaches B and B updates its routing table as per A's message, but the packet to C is lost. So it has no measure of updating its routing table. Now see what it does. Without the knowledge of A's message, it then sends its own message to B. Now B now knows that the next hop to X will be the C. So it updates its routing table with this information X, 8 and C, because 5 plus 3 becomes 8. Now after this, B sends this route, whichever it has received from C, to A. Now A is now fooled. A thinks that in order to reach X, its next node will be B, and it increases its cost to 12, because 8 plus 4 becomes 12. In this fashion, the messages revolve around three nodes, and after a certain interval of time, all the nodes have their cost as infinite to reach X. So this is known as three-node instability. Let us now turn our attention to link state routing. Link state routing is a little bit different from the distance vector routing, in the sense that as per the previous topology, all the nodes initially should have the same topology with it. After a certain interval of time, they should update their information. So let us look at the situation, how they're updating. Actually, all the nodes should have their state of knowledge. For example, A is connected to B with a cost of 5, A is connected to C with a cost of 2, and A is connected to D with a cost of 3. So A will have its own state of links like 5, 2, and 3. Similarly, D is connected to A with a cost of 3. So again, D will have its own state of links with cost 3. Similarly for C, B, and E. They all have their own states of links. Now they have to build the routing tables. In order to build the routing tables, there are 4 different steps that must be followed. Initially, any node must create the link state packet, or which we call it LSP, which basically is the states of the links by each node. Then they have to share this LSPs to every other node, and this type of sharing is called flooding. The sharing must be done very efficiently and very reliably so that we have no loss of data. Now for each node, we have to form the shortest path tree. Now the 4th step is to create a routing table which will be basically based on the shortest path tree. Now how to build the routing tables using the shortest path tree? Number 1 is creation of link state packets, or LSP. Now the information carried by these LSPs will be the node identity, the list of links, and these 2 are basically used to make the topology. Then there should be a sequence number that will facilitate flooding, and it will distinguish old LSPs from new ones, because if we have the old LSPs, they have to be discarded and they have to be replaced by the new LSPs that are arriving at the receiving node. And then the age. Age will prevent the old LSPs from remaining in the domain for a longer period of time, because the old LSPs must be replaced by the new ones after a certain interval of time. Now the LSPs are basically generated whenever there are any changes in the topology of the domain. If there is any change, then that should be intimated to all other nodes of the network. And even if there is no change in the topology of the domain, on a periodic basis, the LSPs should be generated so as to create the new LSPs and to discard the old LSPs. Next step is flooding of LSPs. The creating nodes or the source node must send out a copy of LSP from each of its interface. For example, if A is the source node which is creating the LSP, it has to send, let's say it is B, C, and D. So there are 3 different interfaces, 1, 2, 3. So it has to send out the copy of the LSP that it has created through all the 3 interfaces to reach B, C, and D. Then the receiving node, let's say it is B, which has received the LSP from A, it has to compare this LSP with its copy, which it already has. Now this receiving node, if it compares with the old LSPs, if it is the same one, it has to discard this. And if it is the new one, it has to discard the old and it has to keep the new one, and then send a copy of the new to all the interfaces except the sending one. This will basically guarantee that flooding stops somewhere in the domain for a node having only one interface. 3rd step is formation of shortest path tree. We use here Dijkstra's algorithm. The shortest path tree is a tree which will have the smallest path or the minimum cost path, or we call the shortest path between the root and every other node. This shortest path is based on the least cost or minimum distance, whichever is applicable. So the algorithm will create the shortest path tree from the graph or the topology that is given. The nodes are given new names. One is called the tentative nodes and the other one is called the permanent nodes. And what are the steps? First, you have to find out the neighbors of the current node. Then you have to make them tentative. You have to keep these neighboring nodes in the tentative list. After that, you have to assess them, and then if they satisfy the given criteria of least cost, then they must be sent to the permanent list. But before that, there should be a root node that should be created with cost 0. Let us understand Dijkstra's algorithm flowchart. We start, then after the start button, we have to set the root to local node and move it to the tentative list. Then we have to see whether the tentative list is empty or not. If the tentative list is empty, then it has to stop the algorithm. But if it is not empty, then it has to do this step. Among the nodes here, the tentative list nodes, we have to move the one with the shortest path to the permanent list. And then we have to add each unprocessed neighbor of last move node to the tentative list. If it is in the tentative list with larger cumulative cost, then we have to replace it with the new one. Let us understand Dijkstra's algorithm with the help of an example. Let's understand this with this example having a topology of 5 nodes A, B, C, D, E with the respective costs or the minimum distance. So let's see what is the first, second and third step. The first step is we have to set the root to A. Let's say we are creating the root for A. So we have to set root to A and move A to the tentative list. In the second step, we have to move A to the permanent list and add B, C, D, which are directly connected to A. These are the neighbors to the tentative list. After that, the one which is having the shortest path or the least cost, which is C, we have to move C to the permanent list and add E to the tentative list. Now, what are steps 4, 5 and 6? In step 4, we have to move D to the permanent list. In step 5, we move B to permanent list, and in step 6, we move E to permanent list. Now, tentative list will be empty and we are stopping the algorithm. Next is calculation of routing table from shortest path tree. We have arrived at this particular shortest path tree. Now, what will be the routing table of node A? It consists of node, then cost, and the next router. So, how many nodes are there? 5 nodes, A, B, C, D, E. So, the cost of going from A to A is 0, obviously, and the next router will be itself. So, it is a dash. If it wants to go to B, the cost will be 5 and the next router will be itself. If it wants to go to C, the cost will be 2 and the next router will be itself. If it wants to go to D, the cost is 3 and the next router is itself. If it wants to go to E, the cost will be 6 and the next router will be C. To summarize, in this video, we have learned about an overview of intra-domain routing protocols. We understood what a distance vector routing is all about, what are the different steps of distance vector routing, and link state routing and its different steps. Thank you.